Today's video is all about the Canon RF 50mm f1.2 lens, a lens that's large, kind of heavy, and very expensive. What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining me as always. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about this video, and you can gently press that like button as there's no need to smash it, but doing those things will really help me to grow the channel. Now, the lens that I'm reviewing today is my own lens that I purchased. It's not a lens that I have on loan from a company. And basically, I've had my eye on the 50mm f1.2 for quite a long time. And the reason I decided to finally jump on it is because B&H had a mint condition one on sale used. So I got quite a few $100 off the price it would have cost me if I bought it new. And I also used my B&H Paybook card, which saved me on the tax as well. So it was a win-win. So I saw it, and I'd been looking for it, and I've been wanting it for a while, and so I just decided to jump on it. And I'm really glad I did, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, a couple of things. Number one, this is not a very technical review. I'm not going to talk about chromatic aberration and vignetting and all of this other stuff that there's so many people talking about. What I'm going to talk about is my real-world experience using this lens as a portrait photographer and why I've come to love it very much very quickly. Number two, those of you who have watched a lot of my videos are saying, Pete, I thought you shot Fuji. And yes, I do shoot Fuji, but I also shoot Canon. So I have been using the Fuji X-T5 with a number of Fuji lenses for about a year now as my primary portrait camera. But I've owned the R5 the whole time, and I've used it for pretty much all of my talking head videos. Now, I had been staunchly against getting an RF lens because they're ridiculously expensive. And I know a lot of you feel the same way. And I know a lot of people have kind of moved away from Canon because of it. But nevertheless, I kind of impulse bought this lens. It was sort of an impulse buy, but it was sort of, I had planned on it for a long time. I wanted it. And in my studio, I just love shooting a 50mm for portraits, which I know people are probably like, well, why do you do that? Well, I like to, and that's why. And I shoot 50mm all the time. And I shoot wide open all the time. So 1.2, most of the photos you're going to see in this review are shot at 1.2. So that's where I am. I'm still using the Fuji. I have not abandoned my Fuji gear. And in fact, I'm trying out some GFX gear right now that I have on loan from Fuji. So there's a lot going on, and more videos will be coming. So thank you for being patient because this has been quite a while since I released a video. So let's talk about it practically. First, I just want to talk about the lens itself. Physically, it's large for a 50mm. It's a big lens. It's kind of stout is a good word for it. It's rather heavy and it's a little bit bulky. Now, the outside is a little plasticky feeling, which is kind of weird because I thought it would feel a little bit heftier on the outside, but it does not feel cheap to me. It just feels a little bit more towards that plastic barrel feeling. And I would imagine they probably did that to save on the weight as well as on the cost. The lens is made very well. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart. And it's very robust feeling. Now, what I've noticed right away is that it's so much more comfortable to use this lens without a grip. So if you love using the grip on the Canon R5, or if you have an R6 or whatever that has a grip, I don't like using the grip in general, but definitely with this lens because the grip just sort of gets in the way of where your hand wants to go for the lens. And I feel that it really makes a nice pair with the R5 without the grip. So if you have the camera with the 50mm lens and you're just using it the normal handheld way without an the vertical grip attached, it's nice. It feels good. Doesn't feel that heavy, and it kind of balances pretty nicely. It's perfect for studio shooting and without the grip. So the next thing I want to talk about, before we talk about the most important thing, image quality, is autofocus. Now, the thing you gotta love about Canon is that you just point the camera, press the button, it finds the eye, it focuses, and you're done. I did about 6 portrait sessions already with this lens, and I really only had 2 or 3 images that I noticed were out of focus. Overall, the autofocus is great. It's not the most silent autofocus. You can kind of hear a little bit of the sound for it, but for portrait shooting like I do, for stills, amazing. Let's talk about the worst part of this lens, which we already know, is the cost. Now, these Canon RF lenses are monumentally expensive. Canon, as the making of this video, has finally allowed Sigma to make some APS-C-sized lenses, but they still haven't approved them to make the full-frame lenses at this point. So Canon, come on. You're really like losing people here, and people don't like that. But putting that aside, that's really the one thing that I can say as the biggest negative about this lens. It just costs an arm and a leg. I mean, brand new, it's well over $2,000. And if it's not something you're going to use a lot, like, obviously it makes no sense. I, however, use it quite a bit because I love this range for my portraiture. Aside from what most photographers think about a 50mm, I feel like the 50mm is a hugely versatile lens for being creative in a portrait studio setting, or obviously portraits anywhere. And so that's why I love it. The thing about this lens is that the images, the sharpness, the detail, if you shoot wide open and you want to shoot wide open, you're going to love this lens. Even at 1.2, wow, I was really blown away by it. And the proof is in the pudding, as they say. The images just have this beautiful quality to them. And I've been shooting on the R5 with older EF lenses, and the difference between the images, even with the L glass, with my like 70-200L, which is an older version that I've been using, is way more than I thought it would be. Like, the detail is incredible. There's a lot more detail that you can see in the images. And there's a lot more depth to them, which I didn't expect there to be this much of an added sort of depth in the images. And it almost has that sort of 3D look, like getting towards what a medium format will bring you. And dynamic range with this combination, this lens and this camera, is pretty incredible. So this is what I love about the lens. There's so much depth, there's so much detail, and the images just look great to me. Do I regret buying it? Not at all. I actually am very happy that I purchased it. So what I've been doing in my portrait shoots is I've been using the 70-200 for headshots, head and shoulder headshots, but then I break out the 50mm to do some close-up faces and also some interesting portraits that are a little bit more towards the creative side. And I'm able to create a wonderful, diverse gallery of images for my clients that they absolutely love. And yeah, that's all I have for you today, folks. Here's wishing you an awesome day. Go out, take some great pictures, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.